Restaurant Unstoppable, episode 701 with Jae Kim. With excitement, allow me to introduce to you today's guest, Jae Kim, my man Jay. Are you feeling unstoppable today?
I feel unstoppable today.
Yes. So Jae Kim got his start in the food and beverage industry as the owner of a coffee shop while in college. That blows my mind, dude. Unfortunately, that business failed, but it left him with a burning desire to try again. In 2010, Cilantro was founded. Cilantro started as a food truck serving a fusion of Korean and Mexican cuisine. Today, there are 8 restaurants, 2 food trucks, and 2 trailers under the Cilantro brand in Austin, Texas. And I'm pretty sure you guys are, did I hear you're franchising too? You're just beginning to explore the world of franchising?
Yes, we are going through FDD process right now.
Yeah, man. Maybe we can learn something about that.
Sure.
So I have no idea what we're going to discuss today, but let's get that motivational, inspirational ball rolling with a success quote or a mantra. What do you got for us?
Yeah, I'd like to share our core values. Our core values are to be dedicated, to be authentic, to be resilient, and be thankful.
Ooh, why? How did you come up with those core values? Take us through that process.
Yeah, great question. This is a great question. This is a great start. We grew from a food truck in 2010 to having 8 locations, and we have today about 130 staff.
That's crazy.
So we understand that as we're growing, I used to be with our staff every single day, right? Vice versa, our staff, the same staff, we're working together for 8-10 hours a day, and sometimes maybe more. And today I'm removed from day-to-day operations. So it's much more important to live by the core values, and that culture is being shared, and that it's lived at our store level. So it's very important, and over the years we accumulated these important things that we have within ourselves that represents like who we are as people.
Yes.
And we just put it on paper, and we said this is our company's core values.
Yeah. The way I like to think of core values or a mission or a vision or all these things, it's literally taking yourself.
That's right.
And putting it onto paper, because behind every great restaurant is a great person.
I
right?
agree.
And
great team.
And like you said,
Right.
you're up to 130 employees. We can
Yeah.
only handle about 130 and 150 relationships in all of our life.
Wow.
Right. So you
Yeah.
can't impose yourself on all those people at the same level that you were able to when you had 3 or 4 employees, right? So when you have 3 or 4 employees, you can literally imprint yourself on them, right? You can say, this is who I am, and you can will yourself into them, right?
Yeah.
But when you have 130 people, you need to put it in writing so it's there and set, right?
Yeah.
When did you realize you needed these core values?
So we've always had it. We didn't know what to do with it. We didn't know how to use it. We started using our core values about a year and a half ago, and how we used it was through this program called the EOS, and we use this program, and we now use our core values to hire people, promote people, fire people.
The program EOS, is that Entrepreneurs
Operating System.
Oh,
yeah.
so is that Entrepreneurs Operating System? Or?
Yes.
Okay, cool.
That's what it's called.
Right. Just want to make sure I got that.
Yeah. So we knew, like we knew how to intuitively give raises to people. It's a small business. It's hard. It's hard to fire people. It's our least favorite job, right? Like we hate firing people. We love to give second and third chances to people, even though they're not a great fit. We literally started using our core values on a day-to-day basis, and it's becoming so much impactful for us, and that's why this is
I love it.
Yeah, so
awesome,
important.
man. Great way to get this thing started. So typically we start with where the dream started for you, or when you knew that the food and beverage industry was going to be your path. So how did you find yourself in food and beverage? I mean, I know you had a business before this while you were in college, which again just blows my mind. Take us to where it makes sense to start the story.
Yeah. I started a coffee shop when I was 21 years old, and it wasn't a traditional brick and mortar store. It was more like a kiosk at a gas station.
Okay.
and little, maybe 200, 250 square feet.
Okay.
I just had a refrigerator, espresso machine, a pastry shelf, and I started a coffee shop business.
Were you literally in a gas station, or was it freestanding?
I would say it's more of a upscale gas station with a car wash that was generating millions of dollars, I think, because they had a lot of cars being washed on a daily basis, and those are our customer base.
Okay.
And so that's how I got started.
Okay. So what was inside of you saying, like, I need to do food and beverage? Did you have a mentor, or was it just this desire? Have you always loved food?
So at that time, Starbucks was
popping off.
Yeah, blowing up.
It's 2007, 2008-ish.
Right.
Yeah.
And what I didn't know was, I didn't have any strategy. So the location.
You're 20 years old, man.
Right. Right. I had all the strategy in mind.
Yeah.
I found myself, being opposite of the coffee shop, right? It's like Starbucks. You have to take a literally U-turn to get to our coffee shop, and the traffic flow was horrible. But, I thought, well, like, if they can do it, like, I can get local coffee and market it as a local coffee brewer and start a coffee shop.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to run a coffee shop.
Yeah, but I bet you learned so much. But I think it's also important to point out that you were also in school full time.
Right.
Right?
Right.
That's crazy. That blows. How are you running a business and being in school full time?
Yeah,
what happens when you had class?
It was extremely hard. Like, I wasn't doing well in any of these.
Okay, yeah.
Like, I was not focused on any of these two. So
I can imagine.
Yeah, I failed a couple classes in the midst of running a business, and I wasn't running an effective business either. So, like, I was just
reflecting back at this time.
Yeah.
Knowing what you know now, with the success you've had now and the wisdom you've garnered up to this point, reflecting back, what didn't you do right?
Everything.
For somebody who's listening to this and says, I'm 20 years old, I want to open a coffee shop. Like, what advice do you have for that person?
Well, that's a great question. I would say, if I'm 20 years old and I don't know what I don't know, and you're about to start a business, man, I would say ask people. I would say reach out to people and ask them, what should I not do?
So what should you not do?
Well, location.
Yeah.
If you're in the food and bev industry, location is the key.
Don't spread yourself thin is what
That's
I'm
right.
thinking. Like, you have so much on your plate.
Yeah, be focused.
Yeah, it takes a lot to run a business,
That's
especially a food and beverage business.
That's
and going to school full time, just the time to be in class alone.
Right.
And then the homework and the studying, and like, wait until after you graduate.
Right.
It's like one piece of advice.
And be a learner.
Yeah.
Like what I find myself today is, like, I continue to learn because, like, I love to learn.
And that's a really cool point too. Like, the process of opening a restaurant starts with learning.
That's right.
And you can start that today, So think of it that way. If you want to own a restaurant, start where you can.
That's right.
Start learning, and then maybe with a pop-up or like get an event.
You could.
Like Eventbrite situation, where you
absolutely.
start like hosting like pop-ups at your own house.
That's a great idea.
Stuff like that.
Yes.
So great stuff. So you fell on your face. With the coffee place.
Yeah.
How long did it take you to get back up?
I would say it took about years because that's when I fell in love with it. After I came out of that business, I started telling myself, man, I should have done this. I could have done that. Why didn't I think about that?
Yeah.
Why didn't I work hard enough? Why was I complaining all the time? I was making like minimum wage. Like, I was an employee of my shop.
Yeah.
I was just there every single day, like, just running through the motions of running a store, and I wasn't even running it effectively. So I learned what not to do. Mm-hmm. And when I started Cilantro, my mindset was completely different from where I was before and when I started Cilantro.
Okay. So what was, paint that picture of where you were at with your mindset. Give our listeners an aiming point of what your mental position should be when getting started after learning the hard way.
Yeah. I think if you fail enough times, or if you fail at one thing, it messes up with you. It kind of your mind says, I don't think you're capable of doing this. Yeah. Or your heart says, are you sure about this? Yeah. Right? There's like a doubt, self-doubt. Mm-hmm. So going into cilantro, my mindset was, you know what? If my heart says to do something, I'm going to actually do it. If my mind says you should do it, or can you do it, I'm going to actually do it and see what happens. So I started putting everything that was in my heart and my head into just an action.
Yeah, I love that, man. Yeah. It's just taking action, right? Don't dream about it. Like, start doing
things.
Like right now. Just start doing things. So what were the first things you started to do?
I wrote a business plan for cilantro, and I kind of wanted to get help. I wanted to put my thoughts written down in a paper, and that actually helped me out. I use this, I know I'm not plugging this product.
No, you can make recommendations. We love that.
I use Business Plan Pro.
Okay.
To write a business plan. It's really simple to use, and I wrote it. And started experimenting the recipe at home. The recipes came from just try and error, Google research, and that's how I got started. And I found the place to lease the truck. I found the location where I was gonna park the truck. I put everything down on paper. And February 1st of 2010, I started the business.
So where were you financially getting started? Because I know you lost the business. So I'm assuming you weren't in a great place financially. How did you get the money to start?
Yeah, in the middle of it, I had a job.
Okay.
So I was saving up. Okay. So I had about $30,000 in savings, and I maxed out my credit card, and I had, I think, a few months to just to survive.
Yeah, and I have to bring it back to the surface. It's the power of writing things down, right? And you mentioned it again, and just when you put it on paper, like, things just start to like take action, because now you made progress, right? And you can pick up where you left off when you put it on paper. But if you just dream about it, like, it fades away. Get like a gust of wind will come and it will drift.
That's right.
And then you have to like recenter and like redream from the beginning again. But when you write it down, you made progress.
Yeah. You're I think referring to distractions.
Yeah.
Like, so many distractions happen in life. Right. So
for sure.
If what helped me was just putting down few things on paper instead of a lot of things. I had a lot of things that I wanted to do, but I wanted to do few things really well.
Yes. Why that approach? Where did you learn that?
Because when I had a coffee shop, my business wasn't successful, so I tried selling sandwiches. I was doing many things, and nothing worked.
Yeah.
So with cilantro, I just said, I'm just going to be really focused on food and customer service, and just having really clean truck.
Nice.
Those are the three things.
So paint the picture of what Austin was like in 2010 with the food truck scene. Like, why was this a good move?
So I remember going to Torchy's on South 1st Street. They had a trailer there, and I remember being so busy, right? So I set up a meeting with the owner, and I said, "Hey, would you mind if I have a food truck?"
Which owner? Was that Mike Ripka or
no, Mike? No, it wasn't. Jed? No, it was Bob, and he's not there anymore.
Oh, okay.
Mike's a great guy, by the way. I reach out to him for advice and things like that.
He's on my hit list for sure.
I would recommend him. Yeah. He's a great.
Nice.
So I reached out to them and I said, I'm doing like Korean barbecue tacos. I mean, they obviously sell tacos, right? And can I park my truck next to you? And he said, no, I don't think that's a good idea. But I knew that Austin embraced this. Yeah. Austin loved just quirky, small business, great tasting food. And it didn't matter if it was fancy. Like, if it was good, if the price point was there, people were going to come.
Yeah.
And I knew that Austin people were like that.
I wonder if that would have been a bad... I honestly think it would have been a good... You see it now all over the place with food trucks. They park on top of each other. Like,
right,
and
they do.
That gives the customers like options, but like more people can go and find something for them. It might have been interesting to see how that would have worked.
But it wasn't like that in 2010.
It's true. It's true. You might have been way ahead of the curve, though.
I think we were a little bit. Yeah.
But I think what I love about that story is just the willingness to go approach people. And I think sometimes people are so afraid to go approach successful businesses and ask for help or ask for recommendations or ask anything. But you went, not only did you ask about the business, you asked if you could park next to him, you know?
That's right.
But I think that is so powerful. It's a great skill to have, that the willingness to approach people and to talk. And you'd be so surprised how willing people are to help.
Because all you're going to get is no.
Yeah, it's the worst case scenario.
Not at the moment, right?
Yeah.
But it could be, I don't know. And you're building relationship through that process.
Exactly.
As long as you're respectful.
Yeah, and it's lonely at the top. So you want those people
understand.
In your life.
That's
exactly.
Right. Yes.
So powerful. So take us to the point where you actually opened. Like what lessons did you learn the first few? And I'm going to put this little caveat in there. I personally would not recommend opening a food truck in today's market.
It's difficult. But you can do it.
You can do it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely an option, but it's not like it was. And I think people see what it was like and they anticipate it being like that, and it's not like that.
Yeah,
anymore.
I can share with you why, right?
Yeah,
like
please.
even the real estate.
Yeah.
So when I first started, I parked my food truck next to Dolby Mall, and this was February 1st, probably really cold. It was cold. So nobody was commuting outside.
Yeah.
And the campus was kind of empty. And my first day of sale was $7.
Okay.
And the next day was 14 because
you doubled it.
Yeah, but that person brought a friend, so it became 14. But it was not a good location for us until we got to downtown late nights. And back then in 2010 to about 2014, 15, I was paying $500 a month for a lot.
Wow, can't do that today.
You can't do that today in Austin. And so I realized that, there were a lot of empty lots back then. Mm-hmm. So now they're high rises hotels here in Austin. But so I was able to just capture these spots for $500. For me, that was an occupancy cost of running a food truck business. So I would rent, spots for $500 a month. My occupancy rate cost would be $1,500. I calculated that into it, and then I just needed to generate sales from those locations.
Yeah.
And I was breaking even on the first night. Like I would go to Fifth and Colorado, and I would do $2,000, $3,000 night on a Thursday, Saturday night. So I already got that paid for. But I was the only truck at that lot. Later on, a landlord saw that was happening. They were opportunistic. Yeah. They raised the rent, and then they put the truck next to mine. So what you're saying about, the climate of our business has definitely changed, because you're making less money from the lot, and they're charging you more competition. So I would say that's difficult today.
For sure. And so, I mean, but the thing that made it so appealing in the past was that it was such a low barrier of entry, right? And it was so affordable.
That's
and if you couldn't afford a brick and mortar, like you could afford $500 a month. Yeah. It's just getting it's not the same anymore. The benefits aren't quite there.
I agree.
So given that the market has changed a lot, what advice would you give somebody who's getting into the market now? Because that's our target audience. And before you answer that, I just remembered we got to take one quick break to thank our sponsors. We'll be right back. This episode brought to you by MarginEdge. Never deal with a paperwork nightmare again. We're back, and you were just going to tell us what advice you'd have for somebody who's looking to start a food truck today, even though because the market's so much different than it was then. Yeah. What do you got?
Man, location's always the key. Find a great location. Willing to learn. It just continues to be, you have a concept in your mind, and I see this often. Some entrepreneurs are so adamant about, this is what I'm going to do and nobody's going to stop me. And I think that's a great mindset to have, but also asking yourself, is it relevant that these people are asking me questions about, are there my blind spots? Am I covering some of my blind spots? And asking yourself as an entrepreneur to say, what are my blind spots?
Yeah.
And can somebody help me cover those blind spots? I think it's going to be really helpful in the entrepreneurial journey of a food truck.
So what's the best advice you have for finding those blind spots? Where do we find those blind spots? Do we just go talk to people? Like, what do we do?
Yeah. You could ask a friend.
Okay.
You could ask Eric. Your email's out there, right?
Yeah, exactly. Oh, man, I'm going to get hit hard now. No, but I hear what you're saying. And you're saying blind spots, which is what am I not seeing, right?
Yeah.
And I also feel like it could be like, what are my weaknesses? Like,
that's right.
Like, what am I good at? What am I not good at?
That's right.
And who do I need to surround myself with who's strong where I'm weak? Things like that. Or tools.
Right.
And today there's tools out there.
That's right.
Like if your thing's not HR, if you suck at HR, hire Gusto, one of my sponsors. It's a great service too. Like that's what they do. It's like there's so many plug and play things in the world today.
Yes.
So some of the big things I pulled up to this point is that you just started, right?
Yeah.
And you had that mentality of just start and go. You weren't afraid to go talk to people, right?
Yeah.
The times have changed a little bit. Is there anything else we're missing regarding food trucks that are important that our listeners should know?
I feel like social media was a really big thing.
Yeah.
When I started Twitter, the local bloggers really helped us out. Even check-ins like Foursquare, those are powerful. Instagram just came into the scene later on. Yeah. But I feel like those are much more impactful. And still continues to be, but I think the landscape has changed.
Yeah, it was 2007 again. Like
That's
Twitter
right.
was like the jam back then.
That's right.
What about now? What do you see having the biggest impact on your business now?
Well, it's all those things that we have to make an investment on. Things like loyalty programs. Like now, larger businesses have them. And smaller businesses like mine have to be creative in creating a loyalty program where customers are understanding. Like it's still easy to use. So navigating that portion is pretty challenging.
I'm happy you're bringing this up right now because loyalty programs is something that came up recently in the Facebook group that I started a few months back to kind of get all my listeners into one spot and to share knowledge.
Yeah.
So what advice do you have for loyalty? Like, how are you combating this challenge? Like what have you chose to do in regards to loyalty programs?
Yeah. For the longest time, I just thought that it was too expensive.
Yeah.
And they are. They are a big investment for a size like ours.
Yeah.
But I've decided to make an investment and go, partner with a loyalty company to strengthen that portion of our business to build a better relationship with our customers.
Yeah. Can you share which one you decided to settle with, or is it too soon to announce?
Too soon because I got two companies that are competing for our business.
I wonder if I could guess the three, but I can't put you in that spot. You can tell me.
Yeah, sure.
Well, how about this? Give me 3 companies that we should look into.
I've looked at Paytronics. I've looked at Thanks. I've looked at Loyalty Cube.
Okay. And what are the benefits? What are the strengths of these companies?
They all have, I think they all have strengths and weaknesses in each companies based on what they focus on.
What's important to you?
What's important for me is how they, what are they doing for our customers, right? Is it easy to use? Is it seamless for our staff to understand?
Yeah.
And are they doing a good job in making that barrier?
Yeah.
Like building that bridge between our staff to the customers to us and our marketing team to really communicate better.
Okay. And those 3 that you mentioned are the ones that you think are doing best right now.
It's just my opinion. I'm sure there are a lot of other companies out there.
Yeah.
But those are the top 3 that I've
actually had the CEO of Thanks on the show.
Zach.
Yeah.
Yeah. Great guy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can't believe I just remembered that. Yeah, he was a great guy, and I'll link to that episode. That was a few years back, so I'm sure that the platform has changed a lot. I wouldn't be surprised if it has.
Yeah.
But I remember the big thing talking to Zach was that what they do really well is that they remove the hoops. or that's how he explained it. Like you don't want your customers to jump through hoops.
Yeah.
So what they are trying to do is to reduce the resistance as much as possible.
Yeah.
So I think that they are definitely a great platform to check out.
Yeah.
So anyway, moving forward, let's talk about scaling the company. Like, how long did it take you to go from a couple one food truck to 2 food trucks? And it was 2016 when you started to do brick and mortars?
2015. So we've been opening 2 since.
Okay.
Yeah.
You've been opening 2
stores since 2015.
Okay. So how did you get to
2 a year? I'm sorry.
Like, what was your plan, your strategy from getting to brick and mortar? Or like, why did you want a brick and mortar so bad? Like, why did you feel like you needed that?
Yeah. From 2010 to 2015, I was selling the dream to my guys that we will one day go into a brick and mortar business.
Yeah.
And running a food truck business is really challenging. When it's hot outside, if it's 100-degree in Texas weather, it's 110 inside the food truck.
Yeah.
If it's a 40-degree weather, because we're in a stainless box, it's colder inside.
Really?
So it's gruesome. It's a really challenging atmosphere to work. And my guys just stuck with me. They believed in the vision that we had for Cilantro, and they believed in my words saying that we will one day go into brick and mortar. So that's always been our dream. Yeah. How we were going to get there was not in plan, but we needed to get, to that level, and we did, luckily, in 2015.
Yeah. So what was your strategy? And I just want to put a little more emphasis on the realities of food trucks again.
Yeah.
Everyone thinks like, oh, it's going to be great, but it's a lot of work, a lot of things that people don't consider before getting started. So thank you for being real with us. So what was your strategy when you were like, okay, this is the vision, we want a brick and mortar? Like, what was your plan to make it happen? And how did it actually happen?
Yeah. So I actually didn't have strategy back then. Looking back 2014, 15, all I thought was we need to open one brick and mortar store. And at that time I was, trying to get investors.
Okay.
And investors were asking for a lot. For their money. And all what they said was, Jay, you have a proven concept with your food trucks, but you don't have a restaurant yet. So I'm happy to give you money, but I need to take this much of your company.
Ooh.
Right?
How did that feel?
It doesn't feel good.
Or people?
Oh, they're people.
Okay.
Right? They're great people that...
You're high risk at this point. So
that's right. It's high risk.
Yeah.
Right. They want a higher return. Rightfully so.
Yeah. There's one thing, and I'm going to put this on pause real quick, and not the actual recording, but where we are in your story, because there's something that I want to make sure we bring to the surface, and I think it's really important, a lesson learned. And you kind of alluded to it earlier. You wanted to do one thing really well, serve food, or like 2 things really well, serve food and serve people well, right?
Yes.
But you also, I think, I'd never experienced one of your food trucks, so I'm not sure, but your menu is small, right?
We used to be smaller than what we have. We have kind of evolved through the years because of the vision has changed.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a very small menu.
Yeah, we can't overlook your unique selling proposition when it comes to food. You invented something.
Yeah, the original kimchi fries.
Yeah, so you got to talk about that and the significance of doing one thing really well.
That's right.
So I'm sorry, I almost completely forgot to bring that to the surface.
Yeah.
But what happens when you invent something and it's really good?
I'm sorry, what was the question
What
again?
happens when you invent something and it's really good?
It was unintentional.
Most inventions are. Beer, I think, was unintentional.
We were in downtown late nights.
Yeah.
And where we parked was just a darker corner so a block away from where all the night scenes were. We're a little bit away, but it was just a close walking distance for people to come out and eat with us after the clubs, after like 2 a.m. Mm-hmm. So what I needed to do was make sure that like our spot becomes a go-to spot after the club, and that's where I was making the most money. So I made sure that I was putting like anything on the grill. I would put kimchi on the grill so the smell go out. I would put Korean barbecue. I would just cook the meat like we could. Yeah, I would do anything possible to get people to be curious about our truck.
Yeah, what's going on over there?
Yeah, but at that time in 2010, people didn't know much about Korean like barbecue or fusion or kimchi as much as we know of now. So I was not selling kimchi, and people thought that we were a taco burrito truck. So they would just, they're drunk. So they're just asking for, hey, give me tacos or burritos. And I wasn't selling fries either. And the reason I sold fries was because my truck was about like a 1980. It's an old school truck. Nice. And it had a fryer inside. Well, so I was like, why shouldn't I use it? So I should sell fries too.
Yeah.
So fries weren't selling and kimchi wasn't selling.
Yeah.
So just one night I said, you know what? I'm just going to put the fries. I'm going to caramelize the kimchi. So make it hot and I'm going to put the kimchi, put everything that I have on the truck, which are fries, kimchi, Korean barbecue, cilantro onions, and sauce on top. And I'm going to call it the kimchi fries.
Nice.
And I just served it to people that had no idea what they should order. I said, you want this. And I just sold it. And it's like visually appealing.
Yeah.
It's a really large portion because you're putting everything on top of a fries on a 200 boat. So it just looks amazing. Yeah. It looks like like a treat. Like when
I'm sure good margin. Well, maybe kimchi is probably expensive, but the fries are pretty good margins there.
Right.
Yeah.
And I just sold it at a most expensive price too. So, I mean, and when they get that, it's like, it's visually appealing. They're just not getting tacos. They're getting a mound of fries with like stuff on it. But I think people are like, what is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And beyond that, only you were doing it.
That's right.
And when you invent something and it's really good, try it out because it's a unique selling proposition. It's something that you can only get in one spot in Austin.
And it was. Yeah.
And that's so powerful because you're also instantly the best at it.
That's right.
And there's something to be said about being number one at something.
Yeah.
Right. So, I mean, Korean, Mexican fusion in general is an invention, kind of, right? But,
that's right.
I just needed to put emphasis on that because I think that story is just so cool. And like, how did your business change from that point on?
So I think South by Southwest really took us to the next level. Initially, I think the bloggers, the local Twitters, right, the influencers, were tweeting and blogging about us. Yeah. And Yelp.
Would you reach out to them or did they come find you?
I just didn't have time. Like the things that I just focused on were
I love that though.
Like customers and food.
Yeah.
And I was not experienced chef or cook.
And I catch heat for this sometimes because I kind of lean in that direction that you just said to us. Like so many people put so much time and energy telling the world how great they are.
Yeah. Instead
of being great. Put that energy into doing the thing well.
Yeah.
Put your head down and grind.
Yes.
Right. And if you do that, then if it's truly great and truly special and you're doing a good thing, people will notice.
I agree.
But it's one thing to say I'm great.
Yeah.
And then drop the ball because you're too busy trying to tell the world how great you are.
Yeah. Because you're going to catch a break. Like I'm a firm believer. And if you work hard, luck comes to you. Right. So,
manifest luck, right?
Yeah. So for me, I just did what I did great, what I thought, I needed to focus on at that time. And local bloggers were writing about us. Yeah. Yelp reviews from local Yelp reviewers, Yelp elites, Twitters. And then South by comes and we started getting this national news. Nice. So that was, I was like another breakthrough point where we're getting a national news. So because we're getting national news, like local news were picking us up too because there was
this is right in our backyard.
Yeah. But there was a gap between there were smaller group of people that were writing about us. That were enthusiastic about just hardcore supporters. And then what was missing was that the local news, larger publications. And then all of a sudden you're getting big publications. So I think that when big publications started writing about us, local news media picked us up. And I think it just blew up after that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Man, I'm hankering for some kimchi. That's the only thing I think about. So, all right, thank you for getting into that. I think that was really important for us to hover over that for a little bit. Yeah. But where we left off was you approaching investors.
Yeah.
And they were saying, well, I'll invest in you because you have proven concept, but not in brick and mortar, so I want half, or like whatever the number was.
Yeah.
That's where you left off. Take it from there.
Yeah. So while I was looking for investors, in the back of my mind was saying, like, I told my guys that we're going to go into brick and mortar. I'll do whatever I can to make this happen. Live it up to my words.
Integrity.
Yeah. But at the same time, my heart was saying, man, I worked too hard to give that much. Right. So
you worked too hard to give that much. What do you mean by that?
Meant that I think, in my heart, we're valued more than what we're actually doing today. Like, we have so much more potential. I see the potential. Yeah. Yet investors are not seeing the potential that we have. And they are I'm trying to be sensitive to this, but like, they're not seeing our potential as much as I'm seeing it. Right. So there was a misalignment there. During that process, I started looking into taking out loans. So I learned about SBA and I applied for SBA, and luckily I got an SBA loan to start my
How many times did you apply?
Man, SBA first time. But I needed to go to many banks to understand like what I needed to do, because they would just say no.
Yes.
Like, they didn't give me the time to give me the education to say, hey, if you go through this, you may be able to qualify for SBA. And, I just had to learn and apply for SBA. And at that time, my food trucks were doing, I think, $750,000 to $2 million a year per truck. So we had some good numbers.
Yeah, that's gross.
Yes, okay. Gross sales. But at the same time, like, I don't have an accounting background, so my books were just all messed up.
Yeah,
it wasn't.
I can see that being my situation if I ever
I don't know why they gave it to me. Looking back, but I think that they saw my determination and they decided to take a faith in me.
You get invested in, right? Now you can afford to pay somebody who is on top of that shit. Yeah. You don't have to be good at everything.
Right. I mean, it took me a while to get to where we are today, but yes, I agree.
Yeah. There's some cool things that are coming to my mind and they escape. So the train of thought, taking away the no's is what I was thinking. And I think that's what you did, just to go talk to the banks. They're going to tell you no, but then ask why. Why did I get no?
Right.
And then take away the no. Yeah. Then go back.
That's right.
And just keep taking away the no's until they say yes.
That's right.
And it kind of sounds like you did that a little bit, right? But
yeah, I did.
They kind of put you on the track to the SBA.
Yeah, they did. And I would go to, I thought bigger banks would, initially I thought bigger banks have more money, so they're going to give me money, right? Because they just have more funds. But I found out that smaller banks actually are better for small businesses.
Smaller banks are better for small businesses. Why?
They were much more flexible. They value personal relationships, and they're
not just looking at the numbers.
That's right. Yeah. And they do. Yeah. In all fairness, but they were
go ahead.
Much more flexible. They're more in tune with the local market. So I think that worked to our advantage.
Okay. And what year was it when you got this loan? 2015. You said?
Yeah, 2015.
So 2015. We got to point out that you were on Shark Tank.
Yeah.
Was that more of like were you really interested in the money, or were you more interested in the media?
I was interested in a strategic partnership.
Okay.
And I thought going on Shark Tank and getting an investment from one of the sharks, was going to be a strategic plan for us to grow.
So you got the SBA loan, right?
Yeah.
So why did you need more? Your trucks were making money at this point, right?
Right. Because we always wanted to expand, and expansion, the growth, our big vision is to become the world leading Korean barbecue brand. And, you kind of put it out there.
World Korean barbecue brand.
That's right.
Are you going to transition away from Mexican? Because you kind of have. I feel like I've been to your stores and I don't really see the Mexican side of it that much, to be honest. I mean,
right. I think if you were to go to our stores, you would feel like, okay, there is Texas, Texan Mexican influence in the cuisine that we're serving. But we are a Korean barbecue inspired brand.
Got you.
And that's been our vision. And so yeah.
Yeah. So to bring it back, you're saying you see the vision. You're trying to expand.
Yeah.
And you had enough to maybe get the first brick and mortar.
Yeah.
But you wanted more.
That's right.
And why was the shark going to be the best way to do that?
Well, first of all, if you get on Shark Tank, you are getting millions of viewers. Mm-hmm. And I thought that it would be valid. Like, it would put some validity into the hard work that we have been putting for years. Mm-hmm. And previously, I've gotten on some few cooking shows, and every time I got on cooking shows, I felt like this isn't me. I'm not a chef, but I'm an operator. I'm an entrepreneur. I love the restaurant business, and I am a business guy. So wanted to be on Shark Tank because that aligned with me more than being on a cooking show.
Okay, got you. So how did that end up? Like, who ended up investing?
Well, on the show, Barbara Corcoran invested.
Okay.
She's amazing person. Her team's amazing too. Through the process of going through the due diligence, I just felt that the timing wasn't right, and what they were asking for versus what we were willing to give was not in alignment at that time, and so we decided to not take investment.
Okay. It's interesting to know that you can back away from the investment after the show. I was curious about that.
Yeah. You absolutely can. It's your business, and you can do whatever you want with it.
So that was great exposure. They were going to invest in you. You also applied like 3 times for that show, right?
I did.
I think it's important to point these things out because there's like this overarching theme of just like persistence. Right? Like the first restaurant failed, but
never giving up right? on the things.
And you just keep showing up. You didn't get the loans, but you just kept going. You kept going. You didn't get on the show, but you kept going. You kept going.
Yeah,
it's so powerful.
But we had a great story. Like, every year that I applied, like, I had, first time I applied, we had food trucks. Second time we applied, like, we had food trucks in Houston.
Okay.
Third time I applied, like, I had a restaurant. So I was like telling a story that we're growing. Like, I was like, you're missing out on our growth. Like, you need to see us. You need to take us seriously. And I think that worked out well.
Cool. So take us to the point where you're at one location and you're humming along. The brand's doing great.
Yeah.
And there's more opportunity. How did you scale? Take us to that point. You're 8 locations now.
I think it's not humming along process. I remember one time we were going from a first location to second location, and I think the ego got the best of me. I thought, well, we're generating like $1.8 million run rate, and I think that I can use this cash flow to open up my second location. And I quickly realized that, I can't pay a payroll. So that was really a great learning opportunity for me. Luckily,
so I was able to understand. Yeah. So when you pulled the money from location 1 to go open location 2, you couldn't afford to pay the people at location 1.
Well, because there are many things that happens. Like, there's a construction delays, there's an unforeseen cost that associated with it.
Still paying rent during all that time.
I'm paying rent. I gotta pay staff that are working at a first location, but I remember I got to also start paying for my second location employees for training.
Yeah.
And the cash was tight.
Yeah.
So I had to go borrow money at a 15% interest rate.
Ouch.
Yeah.
So reflecting back at that, what things would you have done differently? What things would you have considered that you didn't consider to set yourself up for better success?
Yeah. Strategy, planning. Again, I would have gone out and asked more questions to people who are more experienced to get their insights, and just being more methodical and strategic, and having some patience. And because I was like, let's go open a store, let's go open up a truck. And that's how I have been. So I thought my way was the right way.
I think there's something to be said about that. There is something to be said about just going.
Yeah.
Because when you're in the situation
Right.
and you got to make payroll,
Yeah.
that frontal lobe kicks into hyper gear and goes, and it's the problem solver. Like, there's a way to figure this out.
Yeah.
But unless you put yourself in the hard situation, you're never going to kick that thing into gear.
That's right.
And but you force yourself into these situations.
Yeah.
You force your way out of them too.
That's right.
But get more specific. What was like? So you were specific with the idea of like you just didn't have the foresight to consider payroll.
Right.
You didn't have the foresight to consider that the construction would go longer.
That's right.
What are some of the other things that you didn't have the foresight for?
Yeah.
Like, give us like a punch list of the things that we should think of that we probably are not thinking of.
Well, asking yourself a question of, is the first location is going to be successful? Is second location going to be as successful as the first location?
Yeah.
Like, that's also a question to ask. Is second location going to be as a great of a location than the first one?
Yeah.
That's, something to be asked
Okay.
too. Do we have the money and the resources and the people to maintain the first location the way it is? Do I have the right structure in place at a first location and for me to scale to the next, that's similar operation to the second location? Those are the questions that to be asked, but I don't think I asked that at that time.
Okay. I like this stuff. So, get more into like the inside, like the systems of inside the business, the people inside the business, and scaling that aspect.
Yeah.
Because I think you alluded to that just a little bit there, but I think that's where a lot of people miss the mark. So get into how you empower your people to do the job when you're not there.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think how I would want to answer this is that most people, I think, enjoy structure, enjoy system, and they like having persistent programs to eliminate chaos. And today, those people are great partners of mine, and I learned so much from them.
Okay.
But for me, I seek for chaos and problems. Oh my God, issues.
I'm right there.
So I think that those. I had so many blind spots, right?
Yeah.
And they were telling me things, I didn't listen.
Okay.
So ego got the best of me. And
what's one thing they told you, or two things that they told you that you weren't listening?
Well, it's too fast.
Yeah.
And I said, no, like we've opened 5 food trucks and we're doing fine. We can do this with our brick and mortar stores too. Yeah.
So, what does the right speed look like? You're going too fast. I mean, you opened from 2015 to 2016, 17, 18. You're at 8 locations now.
Right.
You kind of tapped the brakes there for a while. So
yeah, we did a little bit. Yeah.
When was it the fastest point which you're scaling?
I think that we're not there yet. We're about to scale
up to
for
this
the next.
Point.
Yeah. So I think we have been doing a good job. Like we put a break a little bit for 1 year to make our system more solid.
So in 2016.
Yeah.
You were at 6 locations in 2018, right?
Right.
Okay. And then you tapped the brakes 2018 to 2019.
And then we just opened 1 each. So now we're going to be at 8. And so
you opened 6 locations in 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What were the biggest differences and changes in your business to be able to evolve and sustain and manage that?
Yeah. People.
Okay.
Luckily, very lucky in a sense that I have a core group of people that have the capacity to grow. And every time they stepped up to find better systems, manage it better.
How do you create that culture where people are willing to step up and feel comfortable to step up?
Yeah, I think the first thing is they see the bigger vision. And second thing is trust. Going back to our core values, right? Like we're respectful for each other's skill sets and strengths, and we're vulnerable, we're open, and we're kind of warm to each other. We're family.
Yeah. How do they see the bigger picture?
I think some people do better than the others. There are some people that, when I say, hey, we're going to become the world leading Korean barbecue brand, there's some people out there.
Jay's drinking the Kool-Aid again.
Right. Or they say, yeah, let's go. Yeah. Right. And then there's some people like, well, walk me through how we're going to get there. So I need to like take the steps.
Yeah.
And then there are people that says Jay's delusional, right? Like it's unrealistic.
But I think the one thing that came from this story, from what you're sharing with us, I think is really important. And I want to lean into it a little bit more, is that the reason why you're able, the thing that's changed the most is the people, letting people step up.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you said, and when I asked you, how do you get them to see the vision, right? Like, how are you communicating that to them? Like, what things are you doing to make sure they see it? Is kind of what I want to get at.
I don't think I'm doing that. I think they're doing it themselves.
Okay. So they see something. They have their own vision of what it can be.
I believe that. I believe that they are believing in something that what they're doing, and it's working, and they're building confidence through it, and they're making their own decisions to improve our business. And when they're doing that, when they're empowered to make that type of decisions, they take ownership in the decisions that they make, and they see that it's working, positively working for them. And when it fails, it's a learning opportunity.
Yeah. So how can we recreate the culture in your business? Like, what advice do you have for us to recreate the culture in your business where people feel like they can step up and contribute and feel like they can add value to the bigger vision? I
think it starts with leadership.
Yeah.
But leadership executing the core values on a day-to-day basis. We gotta act what we preach.
Core values one more time.
Our core values. I have it right next to me here. Be dedicated to us. That means being committed to winning.
Yeah.
Be authentic means we're direct, respectful, kind, warm, and vulnerable. Resilient is we ask ourselves why and move forward and grow, and be thankful, which means we have fun and we live in the moment.
Yeah. So how did you come to these core values? Like, what did that process look like of getting this down and narrowed down to what? How many? 1, 2.
It's 4.
4.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah. We all sat down together. I'm very lucky that we have staff that are going to be celebrating their 10th year with us, 5 years with us. We have a 10th year party that's coming up, and we have like 400 people coming, our staff and their families. And we kind of did the exercise of how many people have been with us for over 5 years, and there's quite a few, and we're very lucky to have them. So we all sat down together and we said, what feels good for us? How do we live our lives? And we came up with these. Doesn't mean they were perfect.
I'm sure the list was a lot bigger than 4 when you guys first started. So how did you narrow it down?
We kept narrowing it down. We said, what are aspirations and what are reality?
Yeah.
So
how long did it take you to get these core values? Like, when did this print come off? Like, when did you guys have it?
Yeah, about 1.5 years. Okay. But we've had similar things. We just we kept refining every year.
I think it's I think it's important to take the time to write these things down.
I agree.
But I also think it's important to let them evolve naturally too. Because you look at like a brand like Zingerman's, right?
Yeah.
Which this is what they have Zing Train, right? Where they teach this stuff now.
That's right.
But they didn't have these things in 1985. Like, they were just doing what you were doing and continue to do is put your head down and just be fucking awesome, right?
Yeah.
And then when you get to the point where you start to scale, like, you need to recreate yourself. So I guess what I'm trying to get at is, if you feel the pressure that you haven't written your core values down yet, you're at 1 year and you have one location, like, it's not a bad practice, but at the same time, like, you're still figuring out who you are as a business,
I agree.
So don't stress out too much over it.
Yeah, I don't think it's necessary to stress out about it. I think, but it's good to have it, good to follow it, and good to have a guideline on how you make decisions on a day-to-day.
When you can't be in every spot at once, like, that's when it becomes important.
That's
because
right.
You have to recreate yourself in these things.
I recently made a mistake, right? So we were discussing on how we're going to create an emergency fund for our staff, because as we're growing, we realize that there are people out there that are in need. They may need to take a couple of days off, but the challenge with that was that some people, unfortunately, are check to check, right? So we were, creating this fund, emergency fund for our company to help the people who are in need, our staff, right? And we had a discussion on should manager at each location manage this fund, or should a company's committee manage this fund, right? And for me, it was easier for GM to just manage this fund.
Yeah.
And we had a disagreement. And then we look at this core values, and one of the core values we say is like focus on growing our culture and building a stronger team that makes us proud, and seek what is best for like our brand rather than best for ourselves or a group. So I realized after reading it after the meeting, I was like, oh, I made a mistake. So I said, it was my fault. We should be having a committee that company makes a decision instead of an individual. So it's an example of that, like using core values to make decisions.
Because you're balancing everything. It makes making decisions easy.
Easy. Yeah, absolutely. You're like, oh, that's what it's for.
Well, I have no option now because I wrote this is my value.
Yes.
And if I want to have integrity, like it makes it so much easier.
That's right.
Thank you for getting into that. Sure. I love that. So I can't believe we're almost at our time. We mentioned franchising, right? Yeah. Any lessons learned around franchising? I know a lot of my listeners out there are interested in this.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that kind of like were surprising to you that you didn't consider before starting the process?
Yeah. One thing that I'm thinking about as we're going through the FDD process, which is a process
what does FDD stand for?
Franchising disclosure document.
Okay.
And as I'm going through this, a few things always come to mind. Is that one thing is I don't want to make a franchisable brand where I'm not creating a win-win situation. Where I'm not, selling the franchising is one thing, supporting and making sure that the franchisees are successful is another. And I want to build the franchising company that franchisees are successful.
Okay.
And that's a long-term play.
So you're not in the business of building franchise restaurants. You're in the business of building franchisees.
That's right.
Yes.
And the things that we're doing, preparing ourselves, is what do we have to do to make sure that our franchisees are successful? So they're building a long-term relationship with us.
Can you get specific on some of the things you need to do to make sure?
Absolutely. Like there's a ton of things that we realize that, we need to make this, we do things and it's so routine for us that it's a normal, it becomes like very normal, right? And what we haven't realized is that we haven't written this down. And we haven't really asked ourselves, is this the right approach when it comes to this task? Things like that, just small, minute details.
Constantly working through little things.
Yeah, that needs to be more methodical and strategic in order for us to make our franchisees successful. And, that takes time.
Are you outsourcing any help?
Yeah, we have some consultants out there. I mean, one of the things that small companies we aren't able to do is hire a $150,000 upper management, right? Yeah. But what's also great is that we're able to in a place where we're able to find good consultants to help us, and when they're good core value fit, these consultants bring so much value to our business, and we're able to use their experience and skills to get things done.
And I think it's really important. And I'll admit to this that when I was a little more naive, I'm still naive, let's be honest. But like when I was more naive, I always thought that if you got a consultant, it said that you didn't know what you were doing. And I think that's a really bad mentality to have, because if you look at the most successful people, they're constantly seeking out expert advice.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to ask the pro, right?
I agree.
Why is that a better mentality?
I want to ask you the same question. Because in your world, like we talked about earlier on, like you're doing it. Like you've built your business. You're at a 700. This
is going to be episode 702.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious who you go to for your line of job. For me, like I reach out to local, like Steve Hislop, who's a CEO of Chewy's.
Yeah.
it's a public company, but they're based out in Austin, and I have access to
that's crazy
person like that. You know, Hopdoddy CEO Jeff Chandler. Like, I have access to him, and I can reach out and ask him questions. Steve Burt, like, people in our industry that have gone through this, were able to just ask.
That's the whole idea of this podcast.
That's right.
Like, is that we're going to transform the industry by putting knowledge in one spot, by sharing knowledge and not looking at each other as competition, but as collaborators, as colleagues, as comrades, you know, and coming together and giving other people aiming points of this is what the job done right looks like.
So who do you go to?
Who do I go to?
Yeah.
For podcasting?
Yeah, I'm curious.
I don't really listen to a lot of restaurant podcasts. I think that it's my job to get out of the industry to give the rest of the industry perspective.
That's cool.
So I listen to a lot of Jordan Harbinger podcast.
Okay.
He used to be the host of The Art of Charm, but now it's the Jordan Harbinger show. He started a new show.
Yeah.
And it's just all about mental health, really it's about being a better person.
Yeah.
You know, shows that are about how we function and how we work. And the Hidden Brain is another one that I love because I think that the success in business and life is really just internal. It's all internal. Once you control yourself, think about what it takes to be successful. It's just, you know, discipline, you know, emotional and social intelligence. And I think just the discipline is probably the hardest thing is to do the thing, you know, that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I'm rambling right now.
No, that's good. I got two things.
Some other ones. Mixer G is another one I like to listen to.
Okay.
You're getting some good stuff out of me.
Yeah, man. Thanks.
Yeah. So what did I list so far? Mixer G, The Art of Charm, The School of Greatness, and I think it's really important to listen to these podcasts, not just these ones, but podcasts in general, because, like we said, it's lonely at the top. So hearing other people that have done it reinforces that you can do it too, and it inspires you. And you're the average of the 5 people you spend your time around, and I'm sure we've all heard that.
Yeah.
And with podcasting, we can literally surround ourselves with the most incredible people in the world. So
I'm curious.
You're turning the tables on me right now.
No. Like, this is pretty awesome. Like, people who are interested in doing podcasts, right? When you're listening to them, are you listening to their like cadence? What are you like listening? Are you listening the way they're asking questions or they're sharing information? What do you listen to?
I'm just listening for what am I listening to when I listen to a podcast? Like how do I listen?
Yeah, like, how are you listening? Is there a method in which, like, you listen to them?
I almost forgot to mention Joe Rogan. I love watching Joe Rogan.
He's great.
You know why? Because I think that those shows are really good. The people are just real.
Yeah.
You know, they're not trying to create a show.
Yeah.
They're just who they are in the moment and just putting a mic in front of it and being real. And it's like the Forest podcast where, like, it's like, here are all the questions and, like, and it's just like somebody's like going through the motions. Like, I don't know. That's not what I like.
Yeah, he got.
Am I answering your question?
Yeah. He got, like, Joe Rogan got Elon Musk to
smoke weed. It's awesome.
How real?
I watched that episode.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, man. Well, I can't believe we're almost at 2:30. I do have to ask before we go to the speed round. What is so the mission statement of Restaurant Unstoppable? The mission statement of Restaurant Unstoppable is to inspire, empower, and transform the industry. So how have you transformed? Who are you today? Who's Jae Kim today versus Jae Kim going back 10 years ago, 2010? How have you transformed?
Man, that's a great question, and very deep question too. I'm very grateful for my business, first of all, because my sister passed away.
Oh, I'm sorry.
You know, about 2 years ago now. Oof. And one of the things that I've learned was that was the only time that I thought about selling the business at pennies on the dollar, right? Because that moment was a moment where I thought I'd rather spend time with my sister and my mom than run a business and complain or about small things or worry about these small things, right? My sister passed away, but what she taught me was to be grateful for the things that I have. And that was a turning point for me in the way that I run my business today, is that, you know, like, why worry about the small things that happens?
Yeah,
you know,
it's a really hard way to learn a lesson, but it's a good lesson. I'm grateful you shared it with us.
And she gave, my sister helped me to have a vision, but also, just like, don't worry about the small things.
Yeah.
And
I love it,
be grateful for the people that are surround you, and hire people and work with people that you actually enjoy. Don't hire people for their resume. Like, hire people because like you just love working with people. And for me, like, I love that I get to be part of building something that's bigger than I am, and I get to do with the people that I choose to do it with.
Yes, I love it, man. This has been a great chat. One more quick break to thank our sponsors, and we're going to bust out a true speed round. This episode brought to you by MarginEdge. Never deal with a paperwork nightmare again. We are back, and the first question I have for you is, what is your IT factor, a habit, a trait, a characteristic you believe most contributes to your success?
Grit.
What is your biggest weakness?
Organization.
How are you combating that weakness?
Hiring the right person in the right place.
Nice. What is one question you ask or thing you look for when you're growing your team and interviewing somebody?
Culture fit.
Okay. Share and back. I just gotta. This is why it's so important to write these things down. Right?
Yeah.
Do they meet this?
Yes.
That's
right.
What's your biggest challenge today?
Growth.
How are you dealing with that?
Strategizing and planning and having the faith.
Nice.
And wishing for luck.
Share one code of conduct or behavior you teach your team. This is a way to be, a way to act.
It's always about core values again. Like, our core values are dedicated, be authentic, be resilient, and be thankful.
What is one uncommon standard of service you teach your team? So this is something that's common within the four walls of your businesses, but not common throughout the industry. A way to go above and beyond.
Customers first, always.
What does that look like? Give me an example of customer first.
My customers are my staff. So I expect that my staff treat our customers the way that I treat my staff.
I love it. What's one book that's a must read to make us a better person or a restaurant operator?
Oh man, there are a couple books that changed my life recently.
Nice.
One is a couple. I read Shoe Dog by Phil Knight.
Nice.
Amazing. Bob Iger's The Ride of a Lifetime, the Disney CEO's book. Amazing.
Wait, how many books were there? The Shoe Dog was one. What was the second one?
A Ride of a Lifetime by Bob Iger.
Okay.
Disney as a CEO. And Ray Dalio's Principles.
Okay. Pick one of those books and give us a lesson from it.
Man, they're all good. I love it because they're all different.
Yeah.
And they're like,
I think they're all in audio too.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah.
They are. But I read it and I took notes and I read it multiple times because they're that good.
Nice.
Yeah.
I will link to those in the show notes. And if you are not an Audible listener, I highly recommend it. It's literally changed my life. Head over to audibletrial.com/unstoppable. If you use that link, you're supporting the show, and thank you in advance. What is one thing you feel restaurateurs don't do well enough or often enough?
I don't know. Pass.
I'll give you a pass. You've given plenty other value other places. So name one service you've hired or outsourced. So this is like an expertise.
Yeah.
Somebody with an expertise, like a designer or a lawyer or something along these lines. So who's one person that you've hired that you'd be willing to recommend to somebody else?
Ooh.
There's intent behind this question, by the way.
So
I'm trying to grow a network of people.
Yeah.
Of experts. So think of it with that mentality.
I just always come back to our designer, Kim Lewis. When we didn't have much, when we didn't have clear identity, the designer going into the restaurant space, like, she was like 110% with us. And I can't thank her enough in giving us the platform in the space to grow. And I think that what's important is like just there are people out there that just kind of fit with you, no matter how experienced maybe they're inexperienced, but like they just love your brand to work on it with you, and those are the people that like you need the most in
And she's an interior designer?
Yeah, she's an interior designer.
And her name one more time?
Kim Lewis.
Kim Lewis. Does she have a website or business?
Yeah, she does.
Do you know it by any chance?
I think it's kimlewisdesigns.com.
All right, I'll look it up. Thank you very much. What is one technology you've recently adopted within your business and it's having a huge impact on communication, efficiency, profitability, anything along those lines?
Yeah. I would say my CFO would say Restaurant 365.
Nice.
I would say our HR person would say Harry.
Nice.
For me, Google Docs.
That's a big one. I think it's probably one of the most underutilized tools.
Yeah.
Getting everybody in one spot, having access to all of your documents.
Yeah, that's right.
I love when my guests recommend a sponsor. Restaurant 365 is a current sponsor.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Nice.
Cool. So I lost track. We're doing the technology. The next question is the last question, and it's a doozy. So get ready for it.
All right.
I can't wait to see the look on your face. If you get the news, or if you got the news, you'll be leaving this world tomorrow. All the memories of you, your work, and your restaurants will be lost with your departure. With the exception of 3 pieces of wisdom that you could leave behind for the good of humanity and for your legacy. What would those 3 pieces of wisdom be?
Can I take people instead?
Take
wisdom. Man, have fun, live in the moment, and love.
Have fun, live in the moment, love. I love it, man. This has been a great chat. We wrap up every interview by calling somebody out. So who's somebody you respect and admire and believe would make a great guest mentor on the show like you made for us today? And if you can't think of just one, that's fine.
I would name 2. Jeff Chandler, who's a CEO at Hopdoddy, and also Mike Ripka, who's founder of Torchy's.
Yes, great recommendations. Look out, guys are coming after you. And how can we connect if we are interested in maybe joining your team? If you guys are hiring, I know you're expanding right now, or maybe we're interested in a franchise. What's the best way to connect?
Go to our website at cilantrobbq.com.
Beautiful. You've been great, man. There is no
Thanks,
questioning.
Eric.
You are unstoppable. Cheers, dude.
Cheers.